Welcome back. So we'll move from issues around security to education. The tertiary institutions, Nigerian universities, appear to be neglected. Several are now shut down as a result of students protesting what they say are poor infrastructure. And the recent closure of the University of Ibadan is just the latest in a series of protests and disturbances which have exposed the hardships that the students undergo in their efforts to acquire an education. So what should be done? What led to this, and how could we find solution? Decaying infrastructure, inadequate facilities, and the scarcity of water and electricity have been some of the issues that the students have complained about. But let's see, we have some people to help us look at the tertiary institutions in Nigeria. Mr. Shalao Jeusi is an author and joins us from our studio in Abuja. Thank you. In our Lagos studios, we have Professor Abiola Awoshika, an educationist, and Shola Makindikwe, also an educationist. Thank you for joining us.
Oh dear, the names are so similar. Shola, and Abiola.
Shola all around.
Okay,
Yes.
so let me begin with the lady. Professor Awoshika, what would you say? What has become, or why are institutions at the state where they are, where the students will now begin to react and force a closure of the schools?
Well, they represent a microcosm of the problems of Nigeria. So they're complaining about decay, they're complaining about no power, no water. Well, I have news for them. There's no power at home either. There's no water unless you provide your own at home. And so we have this big problem that we're trying to find a big hammer to break down. And we think the federal government is the Wizard of Oz that's going to wield this big hammer, and all of a sudden all the problems are going to go away. The kids have a right to protest because we give them admission, they're in school, and we ought to take care of them. However, they also need to be part of the solution. How many of our universities are actually trying to find solutions to the issue of power? How many of our students are part of a research into how to resolve some of Nigeria's problems? If they were part of the solution, then the anguish and the angst would probably be minimized. I look at the problem that universities like Unilag and UI have, and I empathize, because we have an educational model that is not sustainable. Of every one of those kids who are on campus, on admission, there are 2 or 3 at home, equally qualified, that cannot go to school this year because we don't have enough room for them. The facilities that we have, we don't have enough money to make them world class as they ought to be. I run a small school compared to, not even as big as one of the departments in any of these universities. I spend about 1.2 million on diesel only. So about 26, every first 26 student that I enroll at 45,000 a year goes to diesel. So I've got to enroll 3 times, maybe 4 times. But NBT says I can't enroll more than 40. So I don't have enough money from the students to take care of the university or my school. I have to find funds from other sources to keep it going. That is the story of education in Nigeria. A lot of private universities are in trouble because even the number of students and the tuition, as huge as we think they are, still does not cover the cost of keeping the schools afloat. So it's a universal problem for Nigeria. My uncle wrote a book, Professor Lafe, he called it abulicentrism. And we need to go back to abulicentrism. I don't know my local government
What is
chairman.
that?
It means break it down. give me solutions at my level. Let the community resolve their issues. Let's stop waiting for the central government to solve our problems. Empower us. The community where I lived in the US, I knew my mayor. I still have her phone number. I knew my councilman. So by the time we have issues in these universities, the mayor, the councilman, they're already running around to take care of these children. So they don't have to take to the streets. So who is in government is looking after these universities? Who has the responsibility?
Mr. McIntyre, we have too many students in universities. As opposed to the facility. I'm talking about comparing the facility that's available. Because at the time that I went to University of Ibadan, I mean, I don't know how many of us were there, but the facilities were enough to cater for the number of students who were there at the time. But now it seems that the facility is too small for the number of students. The student population has grown so much, it has outstripped the facilities available. There is that on the one side. There's also the other side, which is that not all students have to get a university degree. What are we doing to impart the knowledge into students that there are other ways through which people can make a decent living, not just through getting a university degree? A university degree prepares you for an office job most of the time.
It's in Nigeria.
In Nigeria. And there are no office jobs. So how do we tackle this problem which we have?
First and foremost, let me say I empathize with students in view of what they're undergoing. I empathize with them because the national system have not been properly taken care of. That at the birth of a child, we don't have adequate centers to register. And in registering the birth of a child, you are sending signals that you are planning for the future of such a child in 6, 12, and 18 years' time. In 6 years' time, when the child is entering the elementary school. In 12 years' time, when the child is in the JSS1 or secondary school. In 18 years' time, when the child is supposed to be in any of our tertiary institutions. Because of our inability to plan very well, we are faced with the first problem you presented. We have inadequate schools to take care of so many numbers of youngsters who should have been taken care of in any of our tertiary institutions and preparing them for a future. So it's a national problem that from the local to the federal level, we are yet to address very well. And because of that, we have created this mindset in Nigeria. And our parents have inculcated that into us, that you must go to school, you must attend the university for you